And we are back with another part to the On the Spot questions and answers segment on this new channel, the Extra Spot. Plug, 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 plug. Next question comes to us from Spidey Fan 1234. OTS, can you show us your face? Which kind of already touched base on in other parts. And what's your favorite cartoon? Favorite cartoon of all time, surprisingly enough, is Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light. That show was only, I think, around for 12 episodes. Totally did not get any love. I also really love Inhumanoids. I mean, I would love to say Transformers and G.I. Joe, but I mean, that's such a generic answer that most people give. G.I. Joe and Transformers I really love. I love like the 5-part miniseries of G.I. Joes, like the Pyramid of Darkness, Weather Dominator, the Mass Device. I love those. But certainly as forgettable, maybe shows that didn't get as much love, I really love Inhumanoids and Visionaries. So those are my favorite. Now my favorite cartoons are probably like Family Guy. I don't like Simpsons at all. I think Simpsons has not been good for at least 5-10 years. I don't think Simpsons has been good. I really don't. I think Simpsons is horrible now. And I just wish they would cancel the show, but that's beside the point. Next question comes to us from Brian Nagayan? Brian Nagayan. OTS, what's the worst candy you have ever tasted? Yes. Well, actually, I have tasted many horrible candies, but there is one. It's still going to be uploaded. It's the Zombie Mints. Stay tuned for that. Zombie Mints. Horrible. Horrible, horrible mints. I know you guys are already excited. Hold on. That review is definitely coming. Worst candy. One of the worst candies Spot has ever had. I probably have had worse, but that's the one that really stands out in my mind. Next question comes to us from Benny Blanco 519. OTS, have you ever had a chance to watch the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie? Do you think that it is a this is a property that should be left alone, or do you think there's still meat on that bone to make another series of movies? What about another Friday the 13th? I have not actually seen the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but from what I've heard, a lot of people are really upset that this is a true sequel to the 1974 classic Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that apparently the part 2 and certainly the subsequent sequels afterwards have all been scratched from the timeline, that this is the true sequel. And yet for some reason, again, I think it takes place in 1974. It's supposedly to take place 20 years later, and that this is now the daughter of a family member that didn't exist in 1974. There were these characters, family members that really weren't there in 1974's movie, and yet somehow exists now. And now there's the daughter, but it takes place now. So instead of her being like 40, she's somehow in her 20s. I don't understand. I think what they should have done is easily they could have done a Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel, followed the same story, you know, the 20 years later, it could have been the girl, but just don't have it staged now. Makes no sense. They could have done 20 years. 20 years from then would have been, what, 1994? Still could have worked. You just had to make sure that you didn't use cell phones, and if you did, maybe you had to have it like a Zach Morris phone. I don't know if Texas Chainsaw Massacre has any more meat on its bone. I kind of think that maybe it's time to leave that franchise alone. If anything, and I'm going to bring up the remakes, if anything, we had Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1, 2, Leatherface, and the New Generation. Those were your 4, even though they don't really tie into one another, and Leatherface kind of contradicts the other ones, and then Next Generation is just like, we don't even care about what happened with the other, with 2nd and 3rd. We're just going to kind of, I don't even know where the formula and the timeline works for that in the chronological order. But we had the basic 4 original movies. Then you did the remake, which I liked. Then you did the beginning, which was the prequel to the sequel. And I thought that was work. And you had your 2 movies. You had your originals, you had the remakes. Both I thought were tied off well enough that they could have just left the series alone. I think what they're trying to do is the fact that Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because it is very similar to the whole Saw and, you know, Hostel, and, you know, I think there's still probably an ankling for like that genre of horror movies. I think they're likely, that's probably why they maybe did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's probably cheap too, you know, dirt cheap to make a movie like that. I don't really think that movie needed to come back. And I don't think that franchise needed to get back. I do think Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th at least deserve 2 more sequels. Because I thought the guy that played the current Jason Voorhees was awesome. I would almost say he was on par with Kane Hodder, which I think is sacrilegious for most fans out there. They're probably saying, no, nobody touches Hodder. I think this guy did a really good job of Jason. I love that he ran. He was just such a brute, and he had a huge neck, and he lived out in the forest, and he literally lived off the land, and it was awesome. Now, there were talks that there was going to be a winter Friday the 13th, and it took place in the snow, and Jason was going to be hunting in the snow. That seems promising. But if you watched what I talked about in the other, I think was it part 1 with the Review Revolutions question? I think the biggest thing that really is the hindrance to any new sequels is the fact that they keep them so current with today's generation that it really alienates a lot of the older fans of the franchises. I still would love to see Jackie Earle Haley come back for at least 2 Nightmare on Elm Streets. Maybe make Freddy a little more sarcastic and whatnot. But he was a perfect Freddy Krueger. I don't care what anyone says. My opinion is he was a perfect Freddy Krueger for the new generation. Robert Englund did a great job. You know, he did a great job with Freddy before. He's obviously getting older now. You know, passed the torch on. I thought Jackie Earle Haley was awesome. I would love to see another Friday the 13th. I would also love to see another Nightmare on Elm Street. I would also like to see another Trick or Treat. I would really love to see another My Bloody Valentine. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I would love to see those. So a very long-winded answer. Thank you, though, to Benny Blanco 519. Next question comes to us from Keith Lasher. OTS, can you please check out my channel? And you are awesome! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, open face, smiley, sideways face. I will check out your channel. I guess that's not really a question, but I will check out your channel. And thank you. Thank you for your kind words of telling me I'm awesome. I don't see it, but thank you. Next question comes to us from the Dark Knight Reviews. OTS, do you like it? Do you like any of the Disney villains? Like, oh, he loves Maleficent, which is Maleficent, which is actually from Sleeping Beauty. That was awesome. She was an awesome villain. I also really like Cruella de Vil. I don't know why. I just really like her design. Glenn Close in that live-action version, kind of thought she was attractive. I don't know why, but there you go. Other villains I really liked. You know, and this is a spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen it. I really liked the villain in Tarzan. And what I really liked about it was that it was his own rage. Spoiler. It was his own rage that led to his own demise. The fact that he was slashing those vines trying to get to Tarzan, and he lost his footing, and bling. That's all I'm going to say. I thought he was kind of a cool villain. I don't know what my favorite Disney villain is. I mean, there's been a lot of good ones out there. Oh, I also like, what's it, Ratigan? Is that the one from The Great Mouse Detective? I thought he was good, and I think he was voiced by Vincent Price, which also made it very awesome. The next question comes to us from Production Trinity. OTS, who is your favorite YouTuber other than yourself? Please give one that reviews toys and one that doesn't. One that doesn't review toys. This is actually one that's may catch a lot of people off guard. I really like Teddy Rubskin. He's a little stuffed bear, and he talks about video games and stuff like that. I want to pick someone who's obscure that maybe people don't really know about. If you really want to watch a really entertaining video game reviewer, check out Teddy Rubskin. I've actually got his channel linked on my main page. I think on the review spot, I got it on my main page there. One that reviews toys. I don't know why. I really like The Great Toy Reviewer. He doesn't do a lot of toys anymore. He does more rants than anything else. I guess I do enjoy Optibotimus's reviews. I think they're decent. They're definitely very high quality. I guess those are the... And of course, I like the Review Revolution. I always think he does a fantastic job. He's very approachable in his videos, which I think is also a must. Some people always say, Spot, what do you need to do to be a good reviewer? I think really, ultimately, it's not necessarily what you're reviewing that makes you a good or bad reviewer. I think it's how you portray yourself. If people can see a little of yourself on the screen, it doesn't matter what you're reviewing, it's going to turn out good. You know, a good reviewer can review a bar of soap, you know. So that's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on your question, the production trinity. Next question comes to us from a Faceplant production. OTS, how much do you love Transformers? Do you really like Bruticus? I like Bruticus. I like the Combaticons. I'm a sucker for combiners. A big sucker. I love Predaking. I love Menasor. He's such an awesome. And some of even the later ones like the Seacons. Computron I thought was a really cool combiner. I love Transformers from like the 80s. Transformers Prime I have not watched. I like Transformers Animated, even though it was a little hokier. But I like Transformers quite a bit. I think when I was a kid, though, between the two, I always chose G.I. Joe to play with versus Transformers. But I loved the cartoons equally. So hopefully that answers your question. The next question comes to us from Saturn Stales. Saturn Stales. He says, OTS, favorite video game? Favorite video game I would probably say of all time is probably Mega Man 2. Either Mega Man 2, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, or Super Mario Brothers 2. Favorite current video game? I always really like the wrestling games. Like I just have WWE 13. I've been playing that quite a bit. I also really like God of War, which is probably a given. I'm sure everybody, probably a lot of people know that by now. And I also really like Bayonetta. Bayonetta. I'm definitely going to get Bayonetta for Wii U. I still have to get Wii U, but eventually I will get the Bayonetta when that so happens. Yeah. I guess I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm looking at the time. If you're wondering why I paused, I'm looking at the time. It's about 12 minutes. So I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm going to get this uploaded. You guys can check this out as it gets uploaded. And we're going to resume. There's still definitely more questions to come, guys. Don't go anywhere. Another part to On the Spot is heading your way.